It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We take your emails as well. I try to read and respond to everyone at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. There has been a major-ish shakeup in the race for LA City Council District 14. That is the race between Ysabel Jurado, the newcomer, and Kevin De Leon.
It is hot as hell.
Kevin De Leon, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Kevin De Leon was the state Senate pro tem, decided he was going to run for the Senate in 2018, got walloped by Dianne Feinstein, so he found a place to park himself in the LA City Council and immediately started running for mayor. Remember that?
In LA, we spell leader KDL. Kevin De Leon for mayor.
KDL didn't do too well in the primary. I believe he ended up getting 9% support. And before he could use that political power of 9% support to endorse either Rick Caruso or Karen Bass, the dreaded City Hall tape scandal broke out. You know, the secretly recorded tape between Kevin De Leon, Gil Cedillo, some union guy, and Nuri Martinez.
Why are people with us?
That's actually from that tape. And Kevin De Leon's political future has been in jeopardy ever since. While Gil was already termed out and lost his primary election to Ulysses Hernandez.
Yes!
Nuri had to resign out of shame. Kevin De Leon held strong. After repeated calls, every single city council meeting for 2 years to resign, Kevin De Leon never resigned.
Quite frankly.
But Kevin De Leon is now up for re-election, and it's not looking too good for him. Because Kevin De Leon didn't even make it in the first place in his primary. It was close, but he was edged out by Ysabel Jurado. And who is Ysabel Jurado? Well, she has the support and the endorsement of Ulysses Hernandez.
Quite frankly.
And Hugo Soto Martinez.
Yeah, clap that up.
And is a proud member of the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America. A lot of people don't know anything about Ysabel Jurado, but some people are learning one thing about her thanks to a unearthed tape recording, ironically, that came out from Ysabel Jurado talking to students at Cal State LA last week. This was unearthed by West Side Current, and, well, I don't say it's shocking, but it is a little offensive, as she was asked of her stance, what her stance is on abolishing the police.
I'm retired.
As someone who's myself pro-abolishment of police, where do you stand on that spectrum? Mm-hmm. And also, what do you think about Kevin De Leon's discretionary fund spending on overtime for police?
Yeah. What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
Oh my. I had to bleep that. So in response to what is your position on abolishing the police, which I don't understand how that would work, Ysabel quotes NWA, F the police.
You know, you can't get well in a cell.
Now, I got to tell you, in any regular election cycle, that tape would be damning. However, voting has already started, and her opponent is Kevin De Leon.
It is hot as hell.
I firmly believe even if this tape came out a month ago, the residents of CD14 are going to elect her over Kevin De Leon because KDL is that unpopular. And we've waited this long. It's time to do it now. You know it is rule here at KABC. It is law. We cannot reference Kevin De Leon without standing for the pledge.
Madam President, today is Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
Mr. De Leon, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning?
Thank you very much, Madam President. It'd be an honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Indivisible, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oof.
So it is one of those crapshoot elections. On one side, you have that guy. And on the other side, you have Miss F the police.
I'm retired.
As someone who's myself pro-abolishment of police, where do you stand on that spectrum? And also, what do you think about Kevin De Leon's discretionary fund spending on overtime for police?
Yeah. What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
She's going to win. And the thing is, the reason I don't think this tape is going to be that damning for her is I already knew that she was an abolish the police, F the police person. In fact, early listeners of this show would be aware that she's an abolish the police, defund the police person, because back when she was just a primary candidate and no one had ever heard of her, my political geekiness found out that she did an interview with now ex-city councilman Mike Bonin. And Mike Bonin had a whole bunch of questions about how Ysabel Jurado felt on the issues. And this is when that primary was tight in between KDL, two different members of the assembly, including Wendy Carrillo, and then she got a DUI, and there was that whole fun story. She beat all of them. She beat a sitting city councilman and two assembly people to get first place in that race. And she did it saying exactly what she believes. If you want a little refresher, here's what she told Mike Bonin back in February about things like defunding the police.
Where do you think Los Angeles is? Do we need to be doing more pilots and proof of concept, or are we ready to start reducing police spending in order to fund the other stuff?
Mike, we're ready.
I might be the only listener to Mike Bonin's podcast. And that is saying something.
Mike, we're ready. We've been ready. Okay, Mike, come on now. We can't keep piloting. We can't. We know the best city, the safest cities in America are ones that invest in communities, libraries, and programs. We've done the studies about the traffic stops. So we know the pilot programs. There's Denver Star. There are so many things. We can't keep funding this police department more than we've ever funded. And at the end of the day, the people in this district just don't feel safer.
You know what is funny is part of the unintended consequence of the efforts of people like Ysabel Hernandez to defund the police.
Because we are the defund the police people, right?
Is now that there is such a police staffing shortage all throughout the state of California, we have to throw more money at that police budget than we ever have before just to attract new people and stop the retirees. But of course, that's not going to stop her.
We can't keep funding this police department more than we've ever funded. And at the end of the day, the people in this district just don't feel safer. They don't.
And here is the sad truth about local elections in Los Angeles, city and county. She ran on that platform and she got first place. Ysabel Hernandez ran up as a straight up abolish the police, defund the police person.
Yes.
And she won outright in a primary against a long-storied incumbent, Hugo Soto Martinez.
Let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
He ran on defund the police, and he beat out an incumbent in Mitch O'Farrell because Mitch O'Farrell needed to be punished for cleaning up that homeless encampment in Echo Park. George Gascon ran on a platform of completely dismantling the DA's system, and he won. Unfortunately, when it comes to local elections, these positions are fairly popular. Now, there has been a definite seat change. George Gascon is going to get his butt kicked. Prop 36 is going to pass. But on the micro local level of Council District 14, which is parts of Boyle Heights and downtown LA, Kevin De Leon is such a bad candidate that even when we're kind of in a pendulum swinging transition away from the defund the police people, they're about to get another seat on the city council because KDL, his campaign's not going anywhere.
Quite frankly.
But let's give him a chance. Let's see what the state of the race is. I've been saving all of this Kevin De Leon and Ysabel Jurado sound for something to happen. Honestly, here's what I've been doing. almost every day. These two have been doing a lot of debates. And that's great. That's great for both candidates. I love that they're doing local debates in local forums. But they're either in person and there were no cameras, or they're on Zoom. No one has posted any of them to YouTube. But I do have an explainer on the race from KCAL, and both of them gave comments to the Downtown LA Neighbors Association. And so we're going to treat that like a debate because they both got asked the same questions. Ultimately, I still think Ysabel's going to win, but let's give KDL a chance, shall we? Let's find out more about this race. Council District 14 in Los Angeles City Hall. Here's KDL versus Ysabel.
Please respect the candidates upstage.
For about 2 years, demonstrators have tailed and battled LA Council member Kevin DeLeon.
Please allow...
God, everywhere he goes. I mean, remember when he was trying to give away the Christmas trees and Jason Reedy, the guy who shows up at LA City Hall with his baby strapped to his chest like he's in The Hangover, starts getting into a fist fight with him? It's been a wild couple of years.
Allow our guests to speak.
Calling on him to resign following the release of a racist recording. Protesters turned their backs each time he spoke during a debate against his opponent, Ysabel Jurado, in the runoff race for District 14.
She's going to win.
It just has no place in the city of LA.
There was just various reflections on where we are in this district and as a society.
Jurado, who's a tenants' rights lawyer, has been trading insults with the incumbent.
The people voted for me more than they voted for you.
That is true. Kevin DeLeon lost to an outright defund the policer in the primary, and he will lose handily to an outright defund the police member in the general. That either says that there are certain sections of the community that are still all in with that ideology, or KDL is just that unpopular.
The people voted for me more than they voted for you.
My opponent believes in abolishing law enforcement, and
she does,
in the LAPD.
DeLeon, who's fighting for a second term, has called...
Now, there's very little chance of that actually happening. How much damage can she do? I mean, Ulysses has done some pretty good damage, but unless that crew had a full-on majority and had a mayor that had that same ideology, that would be tough. And showing that Karen Bass had the foresight to nominate Jim McDonnell, a very agreeable, middle-of-the-road kind of guy, it seems that she knows that her political future would be destroyed if she went in with this crowd. But one more seat is one more little seat of power because Marquise Harris Dawson plays with these people. Katie Young-Yaroslawski plays around with them. They're getting close to a majority.
DeLeon, who's fighting for a second term, has called the political novice a socialist and an abolitionist.
What do you make of the words that he's choosing to describe you?
I mean, you know, when I think about it, I'm like a true blue Democrat. I've been endorsed by the LA County Democratic Party. I've been endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America, but also the Stonewall Democrats.
The list also,
all the clubs.
The list also includes progressive city council members Hugo Soto Martinez and Ulysses Hernandez, who both voted against increasing the LAPD budget.
The LAPD has been funded more than it's ever been funded before, but people in the streets and in these neighborhoods do not feel safer.
Instead, she calls for increasing city services and youth development programs. She says DeLeon...
We need to do what they did in Oakland, and we need more youth basketball. Youth basketball is going to change the game.
Oh my God, they melted the basketball court.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Increasing city services and youth development programs. She says DeLeon has no support among his colleagues.
Are there any of your colleagues in council that back you and endorse you?
I think there will be some folks that are coming on board very, very soon.
Nope. Unfortunately, Kevin DeLeon is toxic. And although the racist things that were said, especially about Mike Bonin's adopted son, were the things that took all the headlines and got all the outrage, that meeting was about illegally redistricting the city and taking certain power groups and going after other groups and trying to chop up the city via race. It was real weird. It was real bad. And there was no way Kevin DeLeon was ever going to survive this. He survived all the calls to resign. He survived the possible threat of a recall. But in a re-election, this was never going to go his way. And so now we get Ysabel, who said, what? What did she say?
Yeah. What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see them.
She is about to get paid $220,000 a year to have that opinion.
They don't, right?
Yep.
Oh, wait. No, this is the one.
This is one of 3 tiny home villages in District 14. De Leon says his office secured this property, then managed the construction to get people off the streets. But Jurado criticizes them for not having running water, and the showers and bathrooms are shared mobile units.
So wait, if it's a tiny home that doesn't have any running water, isn't that just like a shed that you can buy at Home Depot for like $400? They should probably have at least running water, but hey, maybe that's just not feasible.
When you have to use the restroom as a woman at night, you have to go outside of that small space, which can be dangerous.
It's a hell of a lot better than the status quo, living among rats, syringes, buckets of feces and urine on the streets.
Wow. That paints quite a picture.
Jurado would like to see more projects like the Hilda Solis Care First Village, which converted cargo containers into apartments, which cost about $250,000 per unit. But De Leon's office...
For a cargo container that's already discarded? There's something wrong with the pricing for all this stuff.
But De Leon's office says the tiny homes are more cost-effective at about $65,000 per unit.
If that thing doesn't have running water, those sheds cost $400 at Home Depot. So how do we go from $400 to $65,000?
And he's led the effort to convert 2 hotels into transitional housing. According to the latest filings, De Leon has raised more than $376,000 for the general election, while Jurado more than $252,000. She also pulled in less during the primary, but still managed to get the most votes. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL News.
Now, when we come back, we're going to go through some of the issues that might differentiate these candidates. Because even though it seems that they're at opposite ends of the spectrum on one issue, on most of the other issues, they're fairly aligned. And the only difference that we're getting with Kevin De Leon and Ysabel Jurado is Kevin De Leon, in the wake of that scandal, had to go as pro-police as he could. But ultimately, he's been pretty unreliable in a lot of things. And I think he's going away. It's going to happen. I don't know. But I'm wondering, because it's not like there's a good choice in this election. But if you happen to live in downtown LA, you happen to live in Eagle Rock or Boyle Heights, and your choice is defund the police, Ysabel Jurado, or Kevin can't do the pledge, De Leon, who do you vote for? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Do you vote for Ysabel or KDL? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Yeah. What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see them. Police, that's how I see them.
It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Ysabel Jurado is on track to defeat Kevin De Leon, and she told students at Cal State LA when asked about abolishing the police.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see them.
However, I think she's still going to win, and by a lot. But my question to you, if you live in downtown LA, even if you don't, your choice is Kevin De Leon,
Quite frankly,
or Ysabel Jurado.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see them.
Who do you pick? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Morris in Studio City. Morris, hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. Neither candidates are any good. The way to cure this is to cut the payroll. The salary is getting in half. They're not even worth that. And this way you won't have Nuri Martinez moving to Arizona. You won't have a conflict of interest for redistricting, because it's all about the money, because the term limits was up. And she wanted to keep her salary by running in another district so she can keep the CalPERS pension. That all needs to be taken away, and then you'll have equal competition. It's not equal competition.
I think you're so right, Morris. Morris, the fact that we pay these people $220,000 a year is unbelievable because we are attracting very untalented people the more money we offer for this. The Board of Supervisors, they get $300,000.
And what about the new police chief? He's going to get salary after salary. Jim McDonald retired on a pension. Now he's going to get a new salary over and above a pension. What kind of corruption is this? You know, and then he gets paid from the state of California, CalPERS, because he's a police officer more than 20 years, so they get a CalPERS pension on top of that. So what are they serving? The bank account? Is it BMO Bank, Citicorp Bank? What bank are they serving? All right, that's what it's all about, the money. And then when you need assistance, forget it. You don't see nothing, you hear nothing, and that's it.
That's the city of Los Angeles for you. Morris, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. In the LA City Council race for District 13, it's between Kevin De Leon.
It is hot as hell.
And Ysabel Jurado.
What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
Who are you going to vote for? 800-222-KABC.
What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Westside Current has unearthed a recent tape of LA City Council candidate Ysabel Jurado, the one running against Kevin De Leon and most likely to win, where she was asked about her stance on police abolition.
So, as a resident of CD14.
Martin.
Yes, and punk from East LA who's active in the scene kind of still.
I'm retired.
As someone who's myself pro-abolishment of police, where do you stand on that spectrum? And also, what do you think about Kevin De Leon's discretionary fund spending on overtime for police?
Yeah. What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
So in the race between Kevin De Leon, frankly, and Ysabel,
what's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
You got to vote for one of them. Who are you going to vote for? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to my buddy Armando in L.A. Armando, hello.
Hey, Randy. What's up, man?
Doing great.
All right, dude. So here's what I'm thinking. You can write in a candidate, right? Don't they have a write-in box?
Yes, there usually is a write-in box. You can write in a name. Are you going to write in Bart Simpson?
No, I'm thinking about someone who really understands that community, like maybe George Lopez, Mario Lopez, maybe Cheech Moran, maybe, who was the other guy? Chong?
Tommy Chong.
Tommy Chong, yeah. And what about the guy who did Stand and Deliver? Hispanic actor? Can't catch it.
Do you think any of these people really want this job?
Well, I think it'd be cool if they really grew up in that area and they have a little bit of influence. Yeah, step in and correct it. I mean, I started out in that area, but I moved out of that area. So, I drive through there a lot, but I don't, understand it as well as some of the people who really have the culture. I mean, I speak Spanish and all that, but yeah. I'm not a candidate for that position. I don't think I could be the proper person to serve the people, but I think someone who has influence and understands the people, yeah. Because if you look at some of these actors who grew up in those areas, they have a lot to share.
They do, but you're saying that, let's say we could do a late in the game. Let's say we do a really late in the game campaign and get everyone to write in Cheech. And then Cheech Marin has to become the city council person for DTLA. One, he probably makes more doing what he does now and selling pot products than he would working at the city council. And two, you're making that beloved comedian have to sit and get yelled at by the constituents of LA every day.
Have to write him in. There's other choices. I mean, whoever may have a better understanding of the community that have a different, influence than what we're seeing now, who are just not really doing anything, just taking money and getting in trouble.
Well, that's what they do. That's what they do best. Armando, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. It's down to Kevin De Leon and this girl.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
Who would you vote for? Ysabel Jurado or Kevin De Leon?
Quite frankly.
Let's go to Patrick in Fullerton. Patrick, hello.
Hey, Randy, how are you today?
Doing great.
You know the difference between worthless and priceless?
What's that?
No amount of money is going to make it happen, and the candidates are worthless.
I think you make a point there. Thanks so much for the call, Patrick. Appreciate it.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
Now, West Side Current, excuse me, how many people have made that mistake before? They put out this story early this morning, and they did get an update from the Jurado campaign. A spokesperson for Ysabel Jurado released a statement saying, in a meeting with students at Cal State LA, I quoted a lyric from a song that has been part of a larger conversation on systemic injustice and police accountability for decades. But it was just a lyric. And I'm proud to be accessible to young people and students, listening to their concerns and treating them like the future leaders that they are. Boy, even though she is a newcomer, she sure sounds like a politician to me.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
She's still going to win by 10 points.
It is hot as hell.
When we come back, we'll hear in a recent forum with the Downtown LA Neighbors Association exactly how they come down on public safety. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Ysabel Jurado, the candidate who's running against Kevin De Leon for LA City Council District 14, said some cute things about the police.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
She's so bubbly. She was asked at Cal State LA in front of some students how she felt about abolishing the police, and she said,
what's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
West Side Current got that story. They leaked the audio this morning, and, well, the LA Police Protective League, they're not happy with her. In fact, the Current also reached out to Monica Rodriguez, who's chair of the Public Safety Committee on the LA City Council. She said, quote, I found Ms. Jurado's statement disrespectful, and it made clear of her lack of concern for the well-being support of the men and women of the LAPD and all public safety officers who put their lives on the line every day to keep our community safe. Unfortunately, even though she said this,
what's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
Her opponent is this guy.
You're diving head in first.
And Kevin De Leon is going to lose. But let's give him a fair chance, and let's listen to what both of them had to say about public safety at a candidate forum earlier this month. But first, how about this? Are you ready? 790 KABC welcomes Jeff Lynn's ELO, the Over and Out Tour 2024 at the Kia Forum on October 26th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-790-5222. Get some pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. LA City Council candidate Ysabel Jurado told us what she really thinks of the LAPD.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
That was in response to a question from a student at Cal State LA of how she feels about abolishing the police.
What's the rap verse? Police, that's how I see him.
Of course, her opponent is this guy.
Quite frankly.
And she's going to win by 10 points. Now, at a Downtown LA Neighbors Forum, Ysabel Jurado and Kevin De Leon in separate interviews were asked about public safety in downtown LA. Let's hear what Ysabel had to say. That rhymed.
As a mother of a young girl who rides public transit and walks down the street to go to the grocery store, I do worry about her safety. And even more so when I'm here in downtown with our canvassers, we know it's an issue. But I think we have to look at our city budget and see where we're spending it, right? Only less than, actually, 1% of the city budget goes to street lighting, and over 40% of the lights that are out are actually here in downtown.
Yes, because of all the street takeovers and all the copper wire thefts. That's why we have even more crime over there. And we get to a point we can't even replace the copper wire. There's such a backlog for months and months and months.
You need a council member who's going to fight for you in the city budget to make sure that you get more street lighting in your neighborhood, because that's not what you're getting right now.
But if we take money out of the police budget to put more money into streetlights, is there going to be anybody to arrest the people that keep stealing the copper wire, which is why we don't have the streetlights?
Look at the 6th Street Bridge. It costs $600 million to build that, and there are no lights on it right now. Okay.
We've replaced them twice this year, and they keep getting completely ripped off because of the copper wire.
Okay. And so it's not just street lighting, it's also about street cleanliness and sweeping. And those are the things that really change one outlook on if their community feels safe and is safe, right? And I know here in downtown, your safety looks different than other neighborhoods. And so I'm committed to working with you and your community to listen and learn about what feels safe for you so we can strategize to make downtown safe and bring back the life back to downtown and make sure it's a 24-hour city we can all hang out in.
So that was her public safety response to the Downtown LA Neighbors Association. And her response to that student at Cal State LA was,
what's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
Let's see what KDL had to say. Will he be any better on public safety?
Excellent question. Let me say that this year I was able to score $4 million for overtime for our LAPD for downtown LA. We're the only division in the entire city of Los Angeles, 4 million plus, to actually have overtime dollars, and that is exclusive for downtown LA. That means more community policing.
Well, it'll be tired policing.
That means working with our senior lead officers in every neighborhood in downtown Los Angeles. This is absolutely critical, that we have foot patrols, that we have bike patrols, including horse patrols. And I don't care if you're on the left.
That's what we need. We need more horse patrols, and those horses will be trained to track down the copper wire thieves.
It is hot as hell.
Even when he's saying the right things, it's Kevin De Leon. He sounds like a buffoon.
Horse patrols. And I don't care if you're on the left or the right or points in between. If you're a progressive or if you're a Republican, we all want safety.
Horse patrols in downtown LA. Were you watching True Lies last night, Kevin De Leon?
If you're a progressive or if you're a Republican, we all want safety. Now, we just had the horrific murder, the tragedy of Johnny Wachter on Hope and Pico Street down in South Park. And I can tell you this, thankfully we caught the 4 individuals who were part of that murder. Folks want to feel safe, and it doesn't make a difference if you're a Democrat or Republican or points in between. This is really critical for public safety for downtown LA. If we want a safe downtown, if we want a clean downtown, if we want a downtown where folks want to come to and actually stay, and actually folks who want to enjoy our restaurants and the bars, we have to make sure we work hand in hand with our local police department. It's not an either or equation. It's not
Of course, here is the problem for the incumbent is Kevin De Leon claims to be as pro-police as you can be. And compared to other members of the council, he might be. But downtown LA is still in the state that it's in.
With our local police department. It's not an either or equation. It's not a world of absolutes. We must work together because that's the real life. Working together, not ideologies or not social media platforms that speak, in the world of absolutes. We must come together as one to appreciate the rich mosaic that we are in downtown Los Angeles.
He had a better answer than Ysabel on that issue. She is still going to win by a landslide. I don't know if it's going to be a landslide, but I think it's going to be by 10 points, despite this tape coming out.
What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
Now, if you've ever missed an episode of this show, and that's definitely possible, because sometimes this show is up against Monday Night Football or the World Series or a whole bunch of other things. Oh boy, I am up against like almost every game of the World Series. So, well, you can always download the podcast of this show. Go to kabc.com/newsblitz or search for the KABC News Blitz on Apple Podcasts. And I just looked in the analytics. We are on Spotify, so you can find us there. And you can download every single episode. In fact, go back to the beginning. In early February, we talked about Ysabel Jurado before anybody knew who she was. I had a feeling she was going to be a rising star.
What's the rap verse? The police, that's how I see him.
She's the best.
What's the rap verse? F- the police, that's how I see him.
At least for me, she'll be entertaining, because right now there's a few members of the city council that give me lots of giggles.
Quite frankly,
and this guy.
Let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
Oh, and then there's my girl Imelda.
Broken windy theory.
And joining the crew in 2025 is Ysabel.
What's the rap verse? F- the police, that's how I see him.
Thank y'all so much for listening. We appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow for another News Blitz with Randy Wang. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Take it away, Ysabel.
What's the rap verse? F- the police, that's how I see him. F- the police, that... F- the police.